This isn't the first video that you've seen about the Quest 3.
It's a Quest 3.
Quest 3.
Quest 3 does.
Trust me, I know. But this isn't one of those I'm going to read you a PDF videos. If you want a detailed review, this simply isn't the video for you. Of course, I'll be talking about the hardware a bit because it's kind of important, but there's a lot more to this headset than just the numbers. Let me set the scene. It's 2020, we are mid-COVID lockdown, and people are starting to get really bored. News starts going around about this metaverse thing, headed by generic tech CEO number 7. It looked interesting to the normies, so they got themselves a Quest 2. And boy did a lot of people buy them. Big mistake, they're all femboys now. Meta protects their sales data. Ironic for a company that makes all of their money by selling yours. Don't worry, I'll talk about that. It's estimated that there are over 18 million Quest 2s in the wild at this point. And that's just where VR has been at for a very long while. The Quest 2 was and still is most people's only experience with virtual reality. The Quest 2 is definitely starting to show its age. Those old batteries are getting tired, and I think after 4 years with the Quest 2, people are simply ready for something new. And here it is. It's the Quest 3. I don't mean to spoil this video too much, but it was worth the wait. Before we really dive deep in, I have to address it. That Meta conference was terrible. I watched it with some of the homies in a Discord VC, and we got so bored of all of the AI stuff that one person started doing magic tricks, and another ate burnt pizza. When it was initially leaked, we all thought the same thing.
Oh, fuck no.
The first thing you notice when you look at a Quest 3 are these 3 ugly black bars. And to Meta, these are the entire reason that the Quest 3 even exists. In their own words, this simply isn't a VR headset. It's
the first mainstream mixed reality headset.
And I won't lie, mixed reality wasn't something that I cared about at all. Then I realized that you could chill with your VR chat homies in your own room. I saw some videos on Twitter, X, of people showing their experiences with mixed reality and decided to give it a shot. And let me tell you, this was the coolest experience I've had in VR in a very long time. Watching my homies' videos while taking a sip of Sweet Baby Ray's or taking a piss was really awesome. I could bind a keyboard to it and make the Quest 3 a laptop that with a few taps would leave me in total privacy to focus on what I need to do. Mixed reality is something that we haven't really seen in the consumer market. We had pass-through on the Quest 2, but that was in black and white. The Quest Pro had color pass-through, but it lacked the horsepower for anything really cool. The closest thing we've had to this is Vario's XR3, which is not exactly affordable. I have been an avid user of VR since around 2017, 2018, and I've gone through plenty of headsets. Currently, my daily driver is the Vario Aero, a headset that, besides the technically challenged Pimax Crystal, is objectively the best headset that you can buy as a consumer. It has truly been a long time since something has made me go wow in VR. The Aero's main bragging right is pure resolution and eye tracking. It focuses so hard on clarity that Vario either chose to omit or completely forgot that at the very least people need headphones. Which, because I know you're wondering, I find the audio on the Quest 3 perfectly good for enjoying your favorite songs or socializing.
They say ketamine therapy?
The Quest 3's mic can get a little puffy sometimes, but you're not exactly recording an album on this thing, are you? Or maybe you are. Anyway, the Aero's clarity really does shine, and that's thanks in part due to the lens technology that Vario decided to use. Aspherical lenses, more commonly referred to as pancake lenses, are very different than the Fresnel lenses that you find in most headsets. Fresnel lenses use rings cut into the lens to focus the light into your eye. But towards the edge of your vision, these rings result in what we would call God rays, most prominent during high contrast scenes like white text on a black background. This issue is fixed by using a lens technology that is currently becoming the standard. Pancake lenses are optically perfect in comparison to Fresnel, resulting in little to no God rays. These lenses are also part of the reason why the Quest 3 is so expensive compared to the Quest 2. Pancake lenses are just much more difficult and expensive to make. Fresnel lenses have been used in lighthouses, and not that type of lighthouse, but this type of lighthouse, forever. They're a really low-tech solution to a very high-tech problem. Back to this goofy but totally necessary Aero and Quest 3 comparison, the Aero is completely VR dedicated. There's absolutely zero pass-through on the Aero, which after being a PC VR gamer for the longest time, I didn't think it was a problem. Being able to simply tap the side of the headset and get a good view of my real-life space is at the very least incredibly useful, especially at this price point. Let's just hope that they fix the firebomb problem. The Quest 3 is substantially slimmer than the Quest 2. It also packs a very welcome punch with a GPU about twice as fast as the Quest 2's. That extra power really does come in handy. Swapping from the Quest 2 to the Quest 3 side by side shows just how snappy the Quest 3 is in comparison. This is really important if you plan on using the Quest 3 for mainly standalone activities. Compared to the Arrow, the Quest 3 is incredibly simple to use. Now, my PC VR setup is a little more complicated and botched than most people's, but when I get into VR, it looks like this. The Quest 3, I can just plop on somebody's head, let it scan my play space, and boom, they are ready to enjoy VR. Speaking of the whole setup, we can't forget the new controllers. When you first look at them, it seems like someone in the factory forgot something. Those tracking rings used to house little infrared LEDs that the Quest 2 used to track the controllers with. The Quest 3's controllers, on the other hand, integrate these infrared LEDs into the tops and the bottom of the controller. One thing that many people don't seem to be talking about is the new addition of dual stage triggers. The Quest 3's controllers can not only detect how far the trigger is pulled, but they can also tell how hard the trigger is pulled after it is bottomed out. This sounds like a minor thing, but this feature makes them closer to Valve Knuckles, which allow you to do things like crush cans in Half-Life Alyx. It's not exactly the most flashy thing, but it shows that Meta cares about the little things. All of this stuff is really cool, but I need to address something that's a bit of an elephant in the room. Probably the most controversial issue when it comes to VR besides Quest Kids. That's Meta and your data. I don't like Meta for doing what they do, but you have to understand that we live in a time where even if you don't consent to your data being collected, someone else has. You're probably watching this very video because your data was collected by Google and they thought you might like me. So while I understand the concern of protecting your data, at some point you just have to accept that some of yours is already out there. If you play League, Valorant, Fortnite, or Call of Duty, your data is already long gone, and I don't want to hear you say anything about Meta. With that said, I think that the Quest 3 is a perfect example of consumer first design. I put it on my dad, he loved it. I put it on my brother, he loved it. I put it on my dog, he loved it. In fact, there were two things that my brother, someone who had an original Vive before giving up on VR completely, said about the Quest 3 that made me really happy. He liked how 1, it didn't require a PC to use, and 2, it didn't make him sick. As somebody who wants to spread the gospel of VR to as many people as possible, hearing that was music to my ears. The Quest 3 makes VR and mixed reality so easy and pleasing to use that not only is it getting new normies interested, but it's getting old normies back into it. On the topic of comfort, the Quest 3 includes a feature that simply doesn't exist on most headsets. That's adjustable eye relief. This allows you to move the lenses out to clear your glasses, or in to increase your field of view, something that I've only personally seen on Vive's lineup. Don't get me wrong, it isn't perfect. It's comfortable for around an hour and the battery life is generally pretty short, but most normies who would be buying one of these things wouldn't want to wear a headset for that long to begin with. The Quest 3 out of the box simply isn't made to be comfortable for hardcore players like us. If you're more hardcore, making it comfortable for our style of long play sessions is generally pretty easy and cheap. Don't buy any of Meta's official accessories though, they're a complete ripoff. Beyond gaming, the Quest 3 has a legitimate use case as a replacement for a TV or laptop. And once Xbox Cloud Gaming does launch on it, that value proposition only gets better. So now it's time to answer the question on everyone's mind.
Is it worth?
Short answer, yes. These new lenses and the increase in resolution in FOV is worth it, at least to me. But it's never quite that easy. Everybody's situation is different. So this is kind of just a hard question to answer as a whole. I really do think that if you're happy with what you have right now and don't really think it's a necessity to upgrade quite yet, you're better off waiting to see what Pico and Valve release. The Quest 3 is simply great, but those Valve guys are cooking up something really special, and the new Pico is going to be very competitive with the Quest 3. So I'm going to say it again. If you're happy with what you have right now, feel free to wait. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you to Zlans, Hoob, and Clark Antelaire for joining me on this content creation journey. I also really want to give a huge thank you to Aya in my server for creating this wonderful art of my character. It really made my day, and I hope you all have a good day too. Thank you, amigos.